medium Jamie Butler, we're combining together to bring you Animals in the Light, a broadcast that discusses our animal companions and what happens to them after they pass, reincarnation, how if they come and visit us. And today we have a very special episode in that Jamie is going to trans-channel her spirit guide Maitland, who has a special affinity for animals and our relationship with them. And we're going to be taking your questions. So if you have questions for Maitland about what happens to our animals, if they come and visit us, if they reincarnate, any kind of animal-related questions, please put them in the chat if you could. I'm going to start off by asking a question. My only caveat would be if you could keep them, a broad base rather than asking specifically about your pet. Ask, questions. What is it like for an animal to cross over? Do they come and visit me, or do they come and visit us? How often do they reincarnate? Do we have soul animals? Any kind of question that you are dying to know. This is Maitland's wheelhouse. So please let us know in the chat. Do we have anything in the chat? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. All right. Well, that's because I don't have my glasses on.
I don't wear glasses.
All right. Oh, is that Maitland? Is that you?
Hi.
Hello. I'm not. So we have questions coming. I don't see any actual questions.
Hi, Lumineers. My name is Maitland, Maitland, and I've worked with Jamie since she was, I don't remember, young, in her 20s. Early 20s. And Natsumi's behind the camera, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
And Natsumi will be able to help Brian out if Brian needs anything. And hi, Brian. We talked a long time ago.
We did. It was actually 2 years ago when we were starting to write the book, right?
And I come to every live stream that you guys have, and I help out. But I'm really happy that I can be here. I wouldn't be able to be here if Natsumi didn't stay today. It's really crazy, everything that's going on, isn't it? So, Lumineers, put your, what did she say? Put your fingers to the keyboards and write your questions. And what I'm interested in is all the universal questions, like how animals transition and their agreements and their contracts and things like that, because there's not a lot of content on that out there. But I think that it's really nice if we can open it not just to domesticated animals, but also wildlife animals, because there's a lot of really great relationships there too.
Okay, Mel, I'm going to start off with a kind of a broad-based question, if you could talk to
Brian
us.
has the question. What's your question, Brian?
So I would just like to know if you could just in general talk about what happens to animals when they cross over. What form are they in? When we cross over, will we see them? And if we see them now as a little dog or a cat or a horse, will they look like that? And will we be able to actually talk to them and communicate in a way that's more direct than we do now?
That is a very complicated question, because it has so many layers to it.
Right.
But at the same time that you ask, will we see them like animals? Well, are they going to see you like people? I mean, you're a light being. They're a light being. The plants are light beings. So when they all transition, and it's funny, you say what happens when they transition, I'll tell you what happens. They die. Like their physical body dies, just like yours. But the life energy force that's inside of them, like a lot of you call it spirit or soul, transcends and moves into a different dimensional plane. It actually has more dimensions than the dimension that you live on right now. So it's where I am. And a lot of different cultures and religions have names for it, home, heaven, all of that. So it just feels like home, like you go back to kind of your roots, where you came from. And it's extremely peaceful. And just like animals, or just like people, animals, if they've had a really traumatic passing, if something was very violent, like they'll have a time they can choose to rest. They don't have to transition into other dimensional planes like home and then just kind of be themselves. They have time to, I call it the healing space. It's a really big nickname where your soul goes to repair itself from all the tears that it experienced in its lifetime so that it can be whole again and then merge back into the other incarnated lives that that soul and energy has about to live. Time is a real booger.
Right. So, but if we have this beautiful German Shepherd, and we've had it for a long time, and then it crosses over, and when it crossed over, it was this old German Shepherd, and we're looking forward to seeing what what he or she looked like when he was young. And so we cross over. We're not going to see the German Shepherd. We're going to see like a blob of light. How are we going to perceive them?
Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
Okay. You said I would be looking forward to seeing them like when they were healthy or young. That is a very human perspective. And that's one of the things that you're going to shed when you transition and cross over. You're not going to be longing to see them or to have them reenact when they were healthy or when you best recall them. It's more of a feeling, like when your souls merge and come together, and then you embody their health and their love and their being, their light. So the whole understanding of like I need to see them when they were healthy or when they were okay, that's very human of you. And you don't know any better because you don't remember dying and what it's like over here. So I don't. I'm saying it kind of to educate you. Rather, I don't mean to put you down or anything.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And then I forgot what else I was saying. You go ahead.
Well, I was wondering. I mean, the idea for me personally of just kind of being a blob of light in the afterlife is kind of boring. I kind of like the idea of having books to read and physical things to do, and light blobs. Like, yeah, it's not something I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Brian, you're thinking about it from your eyeballs.
Right.
The blob of light is not very pretty to see. I know, because it's not looking like the German Shepherd or your ragdoll baby. But when you are a blob of light and they're a blob of light, there are so many other levels that you connect and communicate. You don't need the eyeballs.
But I don't want to be a blob of light.
Oh, really big blob.
All right. Okay. And I take it when we're merging with them, we communicate on a deeper level than just the way you and I are speaking now. Right? Is that safe to say?
Yeah, what we're doing is very tedious.
Right.
When you're a blob of light and I am, then we can just we don't even have to be next to each other to communicate. And it just all happens from a really deep core, which is what you might call like your emotions. That's what's really on the surface, not this chattering head thing. It's your emotions are really on the surface. And that's how animals communicate in their physical bodies.
Right.
That's why they're so amazing.
On a soul level, yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's get to some of our chat questions. We have Cora asked, "Can pets come back to us in lucid dreams, and can pets lucid dream?"
Oh my God, pets do great things when they dream, and they can lucid dream to where they're in control over it and create the outcome, and they can see and experience their other past lives and maybe their friends or their people who've crossed over. So like if the animal companion's daddy, human daddy, crossed over, they could have dreams with their human daddy is in it. And what was the other one?
Can they come back to us in lucid dreams? So it sounds like yeah.
Oh yes, lucid dreams are great, but it's kind of hard to program your head and discipline your head to hit that spot where you do lucid dreaming. But once you get a hold of it, it's a really wonderful tool.
Excellent.
It's like using your brain without your consciousness.
So Jennifer Smith has a question that kind of relates to the blob of light discussion we had before. She's asking if we just will know our animal companion souls when we cross over, when our light cross over. Is that?
And they're there. And I would say 99.9% of the time, all the pets that you've had in your life are normally there while you're still living. But when you cross over, when they're a blob of light, they can shape themselves to the way that you remember them. That's fine. They can do that. But it's not as necessary when you're on this side. And you just, it's like you smell them, see them, breathe them, hear them, feel them all at once. And you're not distinguishing each one. It's just like this embodiment. It's really great.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think when I was speaking with Eric once, and I also on the blob of light subject, I kept wanting to to like have a physical experience, and basically what he was saying, it sounds like Maitland, what you're saying is that if we want to have something akin to, for whatever reason, a physical experience, we can do that, but it's not necessary, or maybe not even desirable once we're in that natural state. Safe to say?
Yep, safe to say.
Okay. So Bethany has a question, and a couple of questions look like. She is contemplating if she should get another cat sometime soon, and she's had some animals that have crossed over, and she's she wants to know about the time frame. If would they be interested in coming back, and can you just talk about in general animal reincarnation, and because that's for us as humans, and I'm the same way. And I just had a couple summers ago a cat crossover, and very much wanted her to come back, and I think she is back. But when we're in that place where, okay, they've gone, they're out of the house, they're somewhere in the ether, we want to get them back, and we sense that they want to come back to us, what's the best way we can get the timing right so we know how long to wait to get another animal?
That's funny because when humans are looking at that, their most difficult thing to wrap their head around is the sense of timing. Like, I need to be at this perfect place to meet them, and I have to wait this amount of time because that's how much gestation takes to give birth to a kitty or a dog or whatever. But all those things are kind of obsolete because for us, time is not like that. Time is not linear. So we can prep it and come in just like walking through a doorway. It's like we're behind this piece of glass, and then we see where you're going. And then you end up going somewhere and we're like, oh, we just go through that door. And then so we go through that door and we can make that kind of appearance and meet with you. And Amora, they want two, please, not one kitty. 2 kitties, and they know each other because they are rescued together, and they are rescued. They're not bred kitties. Is that the word? I keep thinking bred.
Like yeah, I understand. Like not like a breed, but just like
breed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because both of them want to do it all over again, and they do want to come back together.
So in terms of, because one of the things you said earlier was that sometimes when an animal's crossed over in a kind of violent way, or it's traumatic, that sometimes they go to a place to rest. And so when we think about that, we're thinking, well, we've got to wait like 10 minutes. And I think Jamie even said, I think she had someone, her cat passed and didn't come to her right away. She was like waiting for a visit. And so I'm wondering why that would be the case if there's no time related to a question of wanting to have to get their cats to reincarnate and come back. Why would they have to wait a little while before they contacted us if they're healing, if there's no such thing as time on the other side?
They don't have to wait. They can contact you.
I see.
You are still in charge. You're the caretaker of your own light. And there's times where, like, as a person, you're extrovert and an introvert. And when you cross over and your light needs repair, or you need the downtime just to understand and heal from the experiences that you've had, or to be able to reconnect to all the other lives that you've had, you take that introvert time. And when I say time, it's hard because I know you guys are thinking of it as linear, but it's not really like that. You don't have the words for it here.
Right. So if you're trying to connect with a specific animal companion or animal companions to reincarnate, what advice could you give us to help us do that? What would be the best way to kind of guide us? Do we just let go and just, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes in the case of cats, they could show up at the back door, or we could hear someone, they could come in come to us in a number of forms, or we could consciously go out to, say, a shelter. How do we know if we want to get these specific souls back to us? How do we know what's the right way to do? Do we wait till something happens, or do we just?
Your first mistake, Brian.
Okay.
How do you know?
Yeah.
It's the knowing you want to take out of it. The dirty thing about all of this is your logic.
Okay.
It's the feeling part of it that's more clear, and you get this sense of that you're getting closer, and you get this sense of like, I have to go. I have to go to this place. I have to put my name on this list. Like I have to, and it's that feeling of urgency that you need to follow through with something, even when you can't rationally. Even if you can't logically rationalize it. That's the moment you know that you are in spirit communication with your animals that wish to reincarnate with you or incarnate with you.
Okay.
Lulu does this thing where she can make whiskers with her lips, and I was trying to do it earlier.
So we have a question from Brenda. She had I'd like to keep the questions general, but I want to take this one. She has her animal companion Coco transitioned yesterday, and she wants to know if, and I think we all know the answer to this. Will she visit Brenda and I mean, and this is kind of a broad question. She wants to know if she's okay, but here's the broad question I want to get to as well is what time would it be okay to get another dog? You know, will the dog who crossed over be upset, or, you know, how long should she wait emotionally?
Brenda, Coco loves you a lot, and Coco is very social. So animals that are normally really social and bonded tightly to you, most likely they're ready to communicate even the night of their passing. And sometimes they'll come to you even before they actually leave their physical body if they're having a long transition. And so Coco is going to be there, no problem. A nice time to wait if you need to play the logic game on this, because it's hard to really feel through these kinds of things, I would say 3 months. So that's a length of like 1 season. And for those people who are having a very, very hard time with their transition, I would wait a full year, because then you can have every day in honor of them and without them, and then start a clean slate. In Coco's instance, Coco is not going to be incarnating because there's another being of light who really wants to be a part of your world and is so freaking cute. And I don't know how much I should say, but very lively, and it's going to keep you on your toes.
Uh-oh.
It's so much fun. Zero regret.
Like a troublemaker.
Yeah, kind
of. Yeah, and Brenda, I would say I had a cat, Mrs. Claus, crossover, and she showed up that night. I had left the house, and I had left a motion activated webcam because I had been keeping track of her when I wasn't there, and I had left it going. And there was a blob of light that showed up 4 times and activated the motion camera and sent me still images of her. So yeah, they do come back right away. And I'm going to add to that. So Malin, is it easier or do animals have more energy to come back to us like right after they've crossed over? And is it harder later on, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I've got a question from Maria. Okay. Do animals also have different colors in the spiritual world? And if so, is it dependent on consciousness and development?
Different colors?
Yeah. So like it would, you know, so we'll take the blob of light. Is it just going to be like a bright white light, or would there be a pinkish light, or would they be blue? And is it like is a blue light going to be more, is a soul that's more developed, say, than a pink light, you know, or is it just, are we all just like a blobs of white light? Does that make sense?
Is it my turn?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, your spirit animal or animal companion in spirit can be different colors. They don't all have to be white light beings. And that's the same with people as well. that when they cross over, depending on their characteristics or what they're focused on at that time, that's the kind of light that they shine. So if they're super compassionate and worried about you and trying to care for you, they're going to show up a little bit more pinky and a little bit more green. And then if they're really trying to educate you and support you and kind of give you advice, they're going to show up more in the blue and a kind of a purple. And if they're really there to keep you grounded and keep you safe and feel like you have a purpose in life, they're going to show up a little bit more orangey and red.
Interesting. We've got a, do you have more to say?
No.
Okay. We have a question from Heather, and I think this is actually it's specific to her, but it's also a little broader based. She asked if her cat Carabelle is in her life to absorb negative energy in her time of in this time of life and the lives of her children. And can you just speak a little bit broadly to animals and how they take on our energy and what that does to them, or what contract?
Your baby cat, the number one agreement that I see on this side is to keep the family together. So there's going to be a lot of instances where the cat is needing attention or needing to be in a different room and calling people into a different room. And so it'll look pretty sporadic, but overall it's about keeping the whole family together and in contact. And then when things are in upheaval, your baby cat is definitely, that was a very cool sound. I don't know what that was.
Sorry.
I liked it. That the animal will be moving the denser negative energy out of the space, but not taking it on herself, but helping especially the kids, not so much her. The agreement is definitely with the kids, and helping them process things that don't feel good and that are uncomfortable, especially within the family structure. Like pretty much this cat is a human child in the mix, or like a third parent.
So, but is it if an animal is absorbing that negative energy and helping to ground it, is there any negative effects on the animal when that happens?
No.
Okay.
Because they're more aware of how to let go of things that don't belong to them. They're not like people.
So they don't hold it in and get sick.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Unless it's too much, like when an animal is connected to one person, and that one person, let's say, has heart disease, and that one person isn't managing their heart disease because they don't know how to take care of themselves, and then the animal companion will help them manage that heart disease, and it's a dose every day, and then sometimes that will lead to heart disease and then the animal. Does that make sense? But if you negative energy because there was an argument, or there's some difficulty at school, or there's something that's upsetting, but it's not an everyday dosage, and the person themselves is caring for it and trying to process it, the animal won't get the daily dose and be able to replicate that illness or disease.
I see. Interesting. We have an interesting question from Lovely, and she was talking to Eric, and Eric told her that her German Shepherd would come back as one of her children. And I was just wondering if you could speak to the idea that our animal children can come back as a like a human child. Is that something that can happen?
As people children, absolutely. Just like you can come back as a cat. Or you can come back as a tree or a plant or a weed.
I see. That sounds lovely.
Lovely. But yes, that's absolutely. And a lot of times animals will come through first and foremost as a pet companion to build a relationship with you, and then come back through as a child to stay with you longer. That's not rare.
We have an interesting question about.
You tell me.
About animal cloning. The cat known as Cece first cloned. There we go. It's moving. Cat passed over recently, and what is the question? I want to say Cece was 16 years old and lived a full life. Is there any issues with cloning our pets? And I'm just going to add to that question. I mean, if we clone a pet, is it necessarily going to be the same soul as the first animal?
No, because you just cloned the 3D version of it, the luggage.
I see.
Replicated the luggage, but what goes inside of it, the energy, the spirit, the soul, is not cloned.
I see. So, and would that be obvious, or because it's genetically, a copy, would it appear to us that it would be an independent cat? It would be a new cat or dog, right?
It'd be a new cat, dog, lamb, sheep, anything,
It would
but
just
it would be predisposed to the same what is it called? Tweaks, because those genes would be made the same way. So if the eye was messed up, the cloned version's eye would be messed up. So duplicating can also duplicate some of their personality, because the eye is messed up, the cat would have a certain walk. Because things like that. Does that make sense? I don't think I'm
yes.
explaining it
Yeah.
very well.
And is there but is it? I suppose if animals can recycle right away, it's possible we would get the same soul if we wanted to. Is that?
It is very possible.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Interesting. Donna has an interesting question as well. She wants to know, and I think that a lot of us probably do. So let's say we have animal companion that has come to us maybe several times, that we will, like a soul animal, if you will. Is it possible when we cross over, will that animal like hang out with us like our family members do, or will they just come in and visit us once in a while, or how often do we get to hang out with them?
If the animal is part of your soul family, then you get to hang out with them whenever you want.
So, I mean, well, I guess it's hard for us to kind of conceptualize what hanging out with and existing is when there's no time, right? But can you speak a little bit to what that would be like?
You would end up with a closer bond with that entity, which on Earth would have been an animal, but in the afterlife would be light, a light being. And because of your closer kind of connections, you would be able to build that relationship easier. So you don't have to call each other, put it on the calendar and make it happen. You can just think of each other and then be there for one another.
That's cool, because obviously we want to see our animals in the afterlife. I just had a question. I'm trying to, because they jump around. They're as new questions are answered. Someone asked. I'm trying to, and I think this is a good general question. So they have a sick grandmother and their animal companion. They're worried that the animal companion is taking on the energy of the sick grandmother and making them sick. So is that obviously, you've talked about animals in the past where that can happen. Is that something that in this case is happening? And if it is, in general, if we're worried about someone who's in our family and we're worried that the animal's taking on that illness, is there anything we could do to make that animal better?
Yes. And in this case, the animal is taking on the sickness from the grandmother and trying to help with that process. So what you can do is, when you're alone with your animal companion, when they've been with somebody or supporting someone all day with either mental illness, emotional illness, physical illness, that when you're petting them, I want you to imagine that there's lights shining out the tip of your fingers, and you have like these long finger rakes that can go through the body and collect all the energy that doesn't belong to your animal companion and help move it out of the body. So you, as a care provider, will not only just comb, feed, and water and walk for your animal, but also clean their energy. Just like you clean yours and brush your teeth and comb your hair and hopefully clean the energy in your bed. That's a big one. That you would do it for your animal too. And you can do it simply by pretending that your fingers have white light shining out the tips and that you have these rakes, and you rake from the head, and you can like do a little finger scrub on their skin. They love it, like, ooh, and then all the way down and past their tail, and do it like 3 times. It's called a sweep. And then you imagine you're collecting all the energy that they don't need, that doesn't belong to them, that's not supporting them. And you take it out and you give it to the earth so that the earth can recycle it. So this helps remind your animal companion that they can do the work that they want to, but they don't have to keep it and process it into a physical illness of their own. Am I talking too fast? I don't mean to.
No. No, I think we're getting it. And you're answering more questions this way. So how often is that necessary to do? Is that something we want to do on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so while it's going on, okay.
Daily.
Andrew has a question, and I think again, specific, but it's also a good general question in terms of how this works. Um, Andrew asked his dog Stella. He believes has senses that she was a human girl in a past life, and wanted a life without expectations. And he saw a girl in a meditative state at rest. And I guess I want to ask that to you is how often. So there's like the TV show Friends. Phoebe joked that I think there was like a grandmother who came back as a cat, and how often does that happen? Is that unusual? And how would we, how do we know? Like, if
It
someone would someone we know and who has crossed over come back as our cat? Is that how often would that happen?
is not unusual at all. Not at all. In fact, um, I would probably say it's more common than not for spirit to come back to their family's lives in animal version. But think about it, there's not a single animal on this planet that hasn't been something else. And there's not a single person on this planet that hasn't been something else. To think that there's a being of light who's only incarnated as a person, all this affinity, nope.
So we're jumping back and forth. But one of the things people will do on Earth is have a regression into a past life. I've never, maybe I have, but it seems pretty rare that they would describe themselves as a butterfly or a whale. But you're saying it's not uncommon for that to happen.
It's not uncommon. I think the reason that you think it's not uncommon is because people don't remember their experiences. They come in with this agreement of having amnesia.
Right. Because we don't want to bring our baggage from another life here.
Even pretend like it's all new.
So what would be the purpose if say that we had a grandmother that came in, or in Andrew's case, if he senses that his I think his dog was a human girl, what would be the purpose of that lifetime? In the case of a grandmother, is there a contract that's going on? Is there a purpose for that, or does the grandmother want to continue that relationship?
Well, it might not be just a flat out continuation, but it's all about the relationship. That's the purpose of this whole thing on Earth, is the relationships that you make and that you keep and how you care for them. Which you guys are really being put to the test with the coronavirus.
Right. Send us light, will you?
Oh, we are. We're not leaving you to your own demise.
All right. That's good. All right. So I've got, Sheila has a question. And I think this is, so it's just jumping around. She has my dog, Shaman Black Elk, passed last December. And I saw him with his namesake. Then they turned and walked deeper into the light and disappeared. Is this something that happens when we name an animal? Maybe it's after a being. Is there a connection there? Is there a reason that kind of stuff happens?
Mm-hmm. In general, when you feel called to name your animal after or a namesake for someone else or some other entity, it is often because it's that entity who's incarnating into that animal.
Oh, wow. Okay. So like in the previous example where I was talking about someone like a grandmother coming in, if you wanted that grandmother come in, could you like name the animal your grandmother's name in hopes that she would come in, or is there no reference?
That kind of consciousness where it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to name them and this is what's going to happen. That's not a soul communication. It's when the animal comes to you and you're like, I'm going to name this one Bob. This is Bob, definitely. And you get the animal and you go, whoa, you're not a Bob at all. You're a Michael.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Hey, Michael. And then you realize like the energy of Archangel Michael is working through your dog. So it's those moments. It's not the logically I'm controlling it. This kind of dense energy up there. Sorry.
So I've got a question from Katie. I think it's kind of interesting because I had this happen with my cat Wilson when Lucy crossed over. In Katie's case, she moved, and her cat will go down to the basement of the new house and just cry out. And she's wondering, in that case, is the cat missing the old house? Is she seeing a spirit? What could be going on there?
Cat's not dumb. The cat knows it's a new place. Animals are
I
intelligent.
see. Right. So what the hell?
Going down into the basement and meowing like that is in search of what she can smell and what she can sense but can't call forward. So it would be a spirit or maybe an animal spirit in the house that didn't cross over or move out when the owners did.
So it's some kind of communication.
So I would suggest to go down to the basement with the kitty and talk. Just say, hi, this is our name. We live at the house now. We're willing to share it with you. Here are our rules, and you lay out how you'd want to energetically share the space and what your boundaries are, and introduce them to the cat and vice versa, and let them know that your priority is taking care of the animal, so that they kind of know the hierarchy of things, which is totally fine because you chose to be human, and when you're incarnated as a human, you need to prioritize the human life first. When you guys stop doing that because you're all like soaked up into evolution and enlightenment, you're really missing the point.
So we have time for a couple more questions. There's one that's breaking my heart over here, so I've got to ask. It's very specific. This is from Susie, and she says, Maitland, my sister's dog has been missing for over 3 weeks. Where is she, and will she return home soon? Is there anything you can shed? Anything you can see? Any light?
Hi, Susie B. It's been a while now, and all the scents and smells that you put out was very good, but now the dog is off with somebody else.
So the dog is safe, is what you're saying?
The dog is still living. The dog hasn't transitioned.
Okay. And will she return?
Sorry.
Okay.
It's harder with animals, right? Because
you
have stuff packed up at home where they're like, excuse me, but I need to go back and get my things before I relocate. And then people think, oh, I'm going to save you, and I'm a hero, and I'm going to rescue you.
Oh, right.
And then there's this new bond and this new great love and this high vibrational energy because of this deed. And then like this new phase of life happens. It happens frequently with animals, cats, dogs, and everything, where they just rehome themselves.
And is there a reason why that happens, or is it just circumstance? Was that kind of in their life plan, or?
Sometimes it's in their life plan. And on a rare occasion, it's because they have to do it on their own because the situation where they are, they're finished. And what they can do is not a great fit for where they are. So they find another place. It's like being at a job too long and then you've outgrown it.
Right. And I guess, what makes it hard for those who are left behind when that happens to an animal, I guess it would be nice to know that they're, if the scary part is the idea of them being out in the cold and not being cared for. But you're saying, I guess it's nicer to know that that someone's caring for them and they're being loved. That's the case in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, Brian. It's Friday 13th.
It is. It's a lucky day, isn't it?
It's like a witch's day. I think we should celebrate everybody that has a black cat.
Well, how should we celebrate? What should we do?
I don't know. Yay! I don't know. It should be their day.
All right. I think we're at the end of our time here. But we'd like to have you come back and answer more questions. It's very interesting, and I hopefully you've helped a lot of people heal and understand what happens to our animals after we go, because they often don't visit us the way grandma or grandpa will when they cross over. So
nope, they don't.
No.
And you know what? I did some videos on the lighter side show.
Okay.
Some of them are about animals too.
Okay. Great. Well, I will put some links on our website, animalsinthelight.com, to those videos, so we can see them. And if you have any stories about your animals crossing over and visiting you, please go to animalsinthelight.com and go down to the bottom of the page and submit your story. We'd like to publish it so that you can help other people with your stories, just so we can reassure everyone that our animals are coming back and visiting us. They still love us. They haven't gone far. It's nicer to know.
Bye, Luminaires. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you for
and
I was going to say for your time, but
it's not really my time. Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I'll see you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
I'll see you soon, baboon.
All right, sounds good.
No, you have to play.
But I don't know what there was one other. I don't know. There's another rhyme.
At the scat, kitty cat.
All right. Thank you, Malin.
Malin, when we do this again, you have to play with me.
Okay, I'll prepare. I'll plan to plan for that.
Thanks. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was another great episode of Animals in the Lights. I always love when I get to talk to Maitland. Are you back, Jamie? Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, maybe you weren't making noise. All right, so Jamie's. Are we still going? Are we still broadcasting? I don't know. Well, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next time on animalsinthelight.com. Jamie's left.
Hi. No, Jamie's here.
Okay, Jamie's.
Push it off. To stop it.